Okay, now we're streaming to YouTube. Okay.
Awesome.
Well, okay, so thank you all for being here. And this is just come and go. We're going to be here for the next 2 hours partying it up. I was laughing with, I've got Christian right here who used to be with me at iThemes and now is at day one at Automatic. And of course, Michelle. And we were talking, reminiscing that we used to throw birthday parties for software. Is that weird or geeky? Yeah.
It is, absolutely. That's what we live for.
The worst part is I have anniversaries for software in my calendar.
I mean, is that really a bad thing?
That's a part of being in tech, right?
I mean, it is what it is. It's all good. We celebrate. We celebrate a lot. And celebration is a good thing, right? Oh, wait, I forgot to put on my glasses. There we go.
Well, hey, if you're able to stay for a little bit, I'd love for you to introduce yourself, just your name, and then give us when you started with WordPress. And if you have a quick story about how it changed your life, we'd love to hear about that. We're doing this 20th anniversary because, I mean, good grief. You look at the history of the internet, WordPress is like ginormous, right? Anyway, but as far as history goes and what the internet has been, I mean, WordPress is the leader of the open web. It's changed my life. So we just wanted to take not just today, but the whole year to say, this is so significant. You think about the age of WordPress on the internet, like pioneer of the internet and all of us with it. So if you want to introduce yourselves and say what year you started with WordPress or version, you can do the geeky version too, and then how WordPress changed your life, like what you were doing before WordPress and then afterwards.
That's a lot of questions. It's like homework.
Oh, Robert.
It's a birthday party. We got a piñata. So
I didn't even hear the assignment. I was busy doing something else.
okay, I'll go first. So in 2006, and I think it was version around 2.0 was like, what was that, like light blue dashboard?
Probably, yeah.
Where everything was up top navigation. I think themes had just come into WordPress. So it's 2006 and I started a WordPress blog. And so here's what I was doing before WordPress. I was a communications director for a church. I started blogging, nothing related to what I do today. And then I started, I thought, you know what? I want to learn HTML, CSS. The people that know me well know that's like the biggest joke ever because I barely know any of that anymore. But WordPress helped me do that. So I started my blog. It was a professional blog. And I started with Blogspot, if you remember Blogspot. And then I found this thing halfway through 2006 called WordPress and never looked back. And then in 2008, I got to go full-time with WordPress at iThemes. So it's been a heck of a ride. Viva WordPress and the open web. So name, when you started with WordPress, what you're doing before, how it changed your life. Who's next?
Hey everyone, this is Nirmal. I'm the founder of Creedalite, and we are a small WordPress agency based in Ahmedabad, India. And I have, when WordPress was actually found in 2003, I was in the school. So, I actually started WordPress in 2013, where I can say my 1.0 with WordPress is started, my own 1.0, where I have started as an employee at Multidots in 2013. And since then, like I was into WordPress as a first as a developer, then as a business analyst, then as a business manager, then sales head. Like I have grown my journey with Multidots, then joined RTCamp as a business manager. And then in 2019, during COVID time, I went back to my hometown again and founded this agency, Creedalite. And it changed, like WordPress is something that like that is kind of my daily breath. You can say like without seeing a dashboard of WordPress, there is not a single day that it passed. So like it is the every day that I look into WordPress, and it is something that we always try to make sure that it helps community. And along with like professional things, we have created a few NGO site to help community. I have been active part of the local communities, word camps, and organizing word camps. So I have been part of that. So like it's you can say that like since last 10 years, since I have been into WordPress, there is not a single day that where I haven't seen a word WordPress in my daily routine. So like you can say that I have talk about WordPress every day. It's the kind of a love that is for WordPress. So yeah.
Thank you, Nirmal. That's awesome. Okay, who's next? Leo?
Sure. I'm Leo Gopal from South Africa. I started using WordPress in 2006 when I was still in high school. Funny fact is, I had a WordPress site before I ever had an email address. So WordPress came first. And basically, I used WordPress to speak because back then I had a stutter, and WordPress was the only way I could speak fluently. And realized that there were more people out there like me who read my blogs, and like the support for that was great. And then in 2008, my last year of high school, I was asked to help create my school's website. So that was the first time I delved into the development side. And then since then, I was a developer for about 10 years, going from WordPress development all the way to leading development teams and stuff like that. 2015, I moved to Cape Town, and that was when everything basically changed for me. I met the Cape Town community. I worked as a happiness engineer for WooCommerce just around the acquisition time. And that really showed me that WordPress for me was not the code, it was a community. And that really changed my perspective, and like Codable sort of saved my life in that sort of way. And lastly, speaking at WordCamps in Cape Town, I started WP Hugs, which is now part of Big Orange Heart, and that really shows me how great things are going. And currently, I am community team rep for the WordPress project for 2013. So it's been a major part of my life for a very long time. So thank you so much, everyone.
What a story, Leo. Thank
I love
you.
it.
Thank you.
And thank you for all your contributions and the things that you got started, especially with Big Orange Heart now, which I'm, rather fond of myself.
Thank you, Leo.
You did
Okay,
a
I
lot
think you're
for it,
next.
so thank you.
And then raise your Zoom hand or put it in chat if you want to go next. But Jose, welcome.
Yeah. So Jose Castaneda, I'm out in California. I actually started with WordPress in the support forums way back in like 2011. Before that, I was on this really, really weird, obscure website called like MySpace, I think it was, doing CSS tricks and all that. So it was just one of those things where you're just like, oh, hey, you know what? I can do some of these things, learn CSS, learn JavaScript. I actually picked up the book JavaScript, and I still have like a bunch of old school books that are like code related. I think my favorite one is the like eloquent JavaScript, like second edition, still definitely worth reading, especially if you never learned JavaScript. Great pickup. I still am on the support forums from time to time. I'm actually one of the moderators. I've been to plenty of WordCamps. I've actually helped organize a few WordCamps. You could probably see some of my badges back here. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been great. Worked at WP Site Care, worked at Web Dev Studios for a bit, worked at Elegant Themes. worked at Pantheon. So yeah, it's been
Little
fun.
known fact, Jose gives incredibly good hugs, almost the kind of powerful hug that takes you down to the ground and just knocks you flat, but like such good hugs.
True. I do.
It is true. I know. I experienced it at WordCamp US last year.
Let's see,
Corey. Okay.
Dave Ryan, then Corey Moss.
Hey everyone, I'm Dave. I started with WordPress when I think I was 10 years old. It's been a minute. I think it was 7th grade. I used WordPress in high school to accidentally kill a newspaper. Our newspaper was dying, but I helped start a journalism program at my high school that's still going using WordPress. I went on to use WordPress when I was in journalism school. When I dropped out of journalism school, I used WordPress at Time Inc., where I worked for a number of years. And I've just celebrated my 5-year anniversary with Bluehost. So I've had a fun journey, and I've done a lot of things with it. I've used WordPress to save a teacher's job, and do a few other fun things with it along the way.
I'm already floored. Like, there's such incredible stories. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Corey, then Katrina, then Robert.
So my life started with post status. Let's be honest. I realized I zoomed in and now you can't see the t-shirt, but I mean, I don't know what this WordPress thing is you're all talking about, but I'm here to celebrate 20 years of post status. No, I was trying to look back. So I published my first plugin in 2011. So I've been building websites since 1997, and taught myself ASP Classic in around 2000, and was just programming away on a bunch of different things. And then, but I was always a hobbyist musician. Since we're all being open and sharing, I will put in the chat. I just put a link to me as a DJ and dance music producer. And so I must have been messing around with WordPress mostly for myself and other musician websites. And I published a plugin in 2011 that would, if you dumped a bunch of MP3s in a directory, it would basically some version of creating a post loop and put them all on a page and be playable. So that was kind of where my mind was at. And then I just looked it up. The first agency I worked for that was full-time WordPress was 2013. And they actually were running the Tough Mudder website. If any of you guys have heard of that, like a Spartan race. And, it's one of those, you go out and torture yourself for no good reason because midlife crisis or something. But we were building an intranet. And so we were hacking the heck out of WordPress. And it kind of just went forward from there. Cause I realized that it's like, oh, there's a lot more to this than just another framework or another whatever. And so I built the West Elm blog. I don't know if that's still online. And yeah, oh yeah, it's still my website. Look at that. Okay, so West Elm from 2013. They haven't updated. Along the way, I've worked for Allie. I've worked for Valet. Kim is very active in post status. Worked for Optin Monster. That was the t-shirt I put on first, and then was like, no, today's a post status day. So I actually took the shirt off and put on post status. Launched lots of plugins, and then my niche is kind of because I was playing the startup game before plugins, and before I realized or was watching the WordPress ecosystem go bigger, and that realized that there were business opportunities there. I was always building SaaS apps on the side. And so these days I end up building a lot of SaaS apps using WordPress as a backend, and like to talk about that. I've done some talks, which you can see on the archives of various WordCamps and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm up here in New Hampshire, the Northeast United States, and we'll see lots of you, some of you at WordCamp US.
Thanks, Corey. Katrina, then Robert Jacoby.
So I have a little bit of convoluted. Okay, every time I talk, my dog thinks it's time to go out. So I have a convoluted kind of WordPress history. I've been around since I think 2.9, something like that. 2008 was my first site. I actually started on WordPress.com, and the whole reason I switched over to org at the time was because I was blogging, and I was blogging about being a young mom to, at the time, 2 boys with special needs. And I wanted more control over my site, which we all probably understand. And within, I would say, a year or 2, I started playing around with a whole lot more than just plugins or whatever. I don't even know. We had plugins, but there were so many different changes back then that it felt like every major update was like, ooh, I get to play with this now. So when I really started like playing with functions and code and digging into it, then all of a sudden there were lots of other people who really wanted to see if I could help them. And so I ended up doing freelancing for several years. But I started as a writer and editor, and I had to laugh. I think it was Dave who said he went to journalism school, dropped out of journalism school. I did the same. Didn't drop out for that reason, but when I went back as an English major, just because English majors rule the world, man. And so let me see. So we have 3 boys that all have a rare genetic disorder. All of them have different diagnoses. One's legally blind, another one has CP. And like the combination of those meant that my freelance work, it wasn't steady enough. So I started looking for remote jobs. And when I concentrated on WordPress remote, I stumbled into my first position, which is with Human Made, of all companies. And from Human Made, after 5 years or so there, I went to XWP. And again, it's WordPress all the way, because when XWP downsized, Robert from Inside reached out to me, along with a whole host. Every single message I got my first week after I posted on LinkedIn was from WordPress folks, asking if I was okay, seeing if they could offer an introduction, something like that. I think over a dozen. So the WordPress community surrounds you in the strangest of ways, and WordPress changed my life. So I went from, a struggling writer, editor, to suddenly being able to design and build websites for folks, to working in support and then product stuff, and then doing a whole lot of tech writing, which is where I'm at now with Inside. And it's all because of WordPress. So WordPress changed my life. And that's my story.
I love it.
That's beautiful, Katrina. Thank you so much for sharing. Gosh, this is above and beyond what I even thought we would get. All of it, and this is going to be a fun, see what, hour and a half now. Okay, so Robert Jacoby, then O'Neill, and then Yvette.
I got nothing as interesting and as long-term as anyone on this thing.
I cry foul. I know your story, and it is interesting.
I grew up hating WordPress. Oh, I'm Robert Jacoby. First I need to list that. I grew up hating WordPress because I was a Joomler, and that's what we were supposed to do back in 2006: is pit open source projects against each other, and that's obviously long since gone. But did a ton of Joomla for years, and didn't honestly get involved with anything directly WordPress related until 2017. So very much a newbie compared to literally everyone on this Zoom. and I blame a WordPress company who accidentally did Joomla work to drag me into this. So that was really exciting. And just touching on just that last sentiment about how everyone reached out regarding WordPress. it's almost like that old Obi-Wan the Force thing. It surrounds you, it permeates you, it's in every little bit of you, and it's just such a insanely strong community, even with differences and WordPress drama. I'm sorry, WP drama. Uh, that it really changed a lot of the trajectory of what I was doing. Back as an agency owner in Joomla to just expanding opportunities and friendships. I mean, I'm looking at Michelle and Corey right there, who pretty much I can just call up anytime, and strangely they answer. And I have the official, of course, Post as T-shirt.
Love
It's
it.
too cold to just wear a T-shirt today, so yeah, it's been amazing for the last short, I guess, 5 years.
I'm glad you're here, Robert.
Thanks.
Before we go to the next person, can we do a drawing for some swag?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. I have everybody, I think I have everybody who's in the call. If you don't see your name on the list, let me know. I'll add it for next time. But we're gonna give away $25 to our swag shop. So let me just share the screen. The famous wheel, you know how those all go, right? So here we go. For $25 worth of swag. I hope whoever it is in the room. All right, I don't think she's here yet, but Megan Haynes, we're gonna reach out to her and send her a coupon code for some swag.
You will be thrilled.
She will.
Okay. Congrats, Megan. Thanks, Robert. O'Neill, then Yvette.
All right. Hi, I'm O'Neill. I'm in the Philippines right now. It's 10 p.m. here, so on the other side of the world from most everybody else. As you can see, I'm a Star Wars fan, and Star Wars is actually what brought me to WordPress. It's actually the title of one of my talks, maybe in the future. I started out like Robert, using Drupal because I had friends who were developers in Drupal, but where I had to make a site for our costuming organization, the 501st Legion, which is an international global costuming organization that wears stormtrooper armor and stuff. And we had to make a website. So we made it in Drupal because I had friends who worked with Drupal. And I found that it wasn't really that great for people who aren't techie. So I looked for alternatives, and then somebody recommended WordPress. So I switched, transferred the whole site to WordPress. And this was about 2006, 2007. Drupal is easier if you code, but I don't code. And it's also harder to teach people if I don't code. But yeah, I ended up with WordPress, put all the plugins, put all the design, and then left it to the other members of the group to handle. Every year, I just do the updates, do the support, and all of that. So my story is Star Wars brought me to WordPress in 2007, but I never got involved with the community up until late 2019, so right before the pandemic. So I was never able to attend a WordCamp, a meetup, or anything until 2020. With the pandemic, I got involved with the Learn WordPress faculty training team. I helped run the meetings, I helped run do the notes, which also led me to the WP diversity team. So I ended up working with Jill running the workshops for diversity when it's outside North America. So I've run the workshops for Asian countries, countries in Africa, countries in Europe, everything outside of North America. And that actually led me to being part of the team that was organizing WordCamp Asia, flagship WordCamp Asia in 2023. And I would not have been able to attend WordCamp Asia, even as an organizer, if it wasn't support from Corey Miller. So I would like to thank Corey Miller for helping me go to Bangkok, Thailand, meet half of the people who are here, and hug some of them, like Michelle, and take selfies with her. And actually, for the first time, be able to attend my first WordCamp. And then after that, I actually did my first talk at a meetup, and I'm applying to do talks at other WordCamps around Asia, and hopefully WordCamp US, WordCamp Europe, we'll see. But this is the start, and I would like to thank the people here who's inspired me. It's the community. It's not the code. It's not the plugins. Well, of course, the code, the plugins, and all of that's still awesome. But the awesome part about WordPress is the community. And I love being here. I'm not paid to do anything. I'm just here because the community is so awesome and fun to have friends whom I can do all of this with. Thank you, everyone.
It was so good to see you in Asia and get to meet you. So I was happy to be there too.
Oh, we were supposed to have an anniversary party here in the Philippines on Saturday, but it got canceled because there's a big typhoon arriving on
Oh my
Saturday.
goodness. Please
So,
stay safe.
yeah, we're used to the typhoons. It happens all the time. But
Well, still stay safe.
yes, thank you.
Thanks, O'Neill. Post-Status was very honored to be able to help with to be at the WordCamp. Thank you, O'Neill. Yvette, before you go, if you want to share your story, like we've been hearing, these are incredible stories. Every story is valuable, and how WordPress has made a difference in your life. You see our kids, Lindsay and I, she's behind camera, she'll be here in a minute, but our kids are running around, and I just want to say, WordPress at 20, we've heard about Joomla and Drupal and WordPress. That's all a part of the open web. So whether you have kids, grandkids or not, we want this thing to be around for them, for the future generations. We've all been so incredibly blessed by WordPress and the open web. This is for the next 20 and beyond. So part of the work we do at Post-Status and WordPress is so all people can publish to the web. And so Viva WordPress. So with that, if you want to share your story, raise your Zoom hand, post it in the chat, and I'll call on you. But, Lillian has one after Yvette. No, Yvette, please go ahead.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Hey all, I'm Yvette Sonveld, joining you from the Netherlands, tiny country, across the pond from the US, and 18-hour flight to the Philippines. So, and I know that because I got to go there a few months ago. I created my very first hand-coded website in 1999. Yeah, I'm that old. And I helped a few people become more visible in search engines along the way. Then as that got more and more difficult around 26, 27, at some point taking more than 6 months, I heard a rumor about a thing called WordPress that would get your site listed in 2-3 days. So I thought, let's give that a try. And it was not true. The site that I created was listed within 24 hours. And I think I never looked back. So I started creating websites on WordPress, did that, had a few, I worked freelance, so I did that for a few dozen customers until I discovered this thing called community and WordCamps. And I mean, I've lived abroad for 16 years, traveled, moved overseas 4 times. So when I started creating websites, I lived in the Netherlands, and I moved to a tiny Caribbean island called Curacao. I lived there for 4.5 years, discovered WordPress when we had moved to Ontario, Canada. Discovered the community when we had moved back to the Caribbean and to Curacao. And that was at a point where I hit a rough patch, and I was working as a freelancer, but found it hard to present myself as a web professional. So I thought, okay, let's practice that in a safe environment, which is not home. So I made myself travel to Miami, attended WordCamp Miami, joined there as a volunteer, and that's where I deeply fell in love with the community. I rinse and repeat the same thing in Providence 6 months after, and started traveling around and volunteering at online marketing conferences for a few years, which was an amazing roller coaster and did a miracle for my self-confidence. Then in 2016, we moved back to the Netherlands, and after having lived abroad for over 15 years, I did not have a professional network in the Netherlands. And I had never worked in online marketing or web work in the Netherlands. So, and I was past 45, which in the Netherlands at that point was really hard to find suitable work. So I thought, okay, well, let's see what happens if I join the WordPress community there. But unfortunately, by the time we had settled down, WordCamp the Netherlands had already passed. So my first opportunity was WordCamp Europe in Paris, which was huge, like 4,000, no, 3,000, around 3,000 attendees at the point. So I thought, okay, the safe way probably is going to volunteer again. And then I also signed up for my first contributor day, which was another amazing adventure. I worked with Bridget Willard and Dwayne McDaniels and Jen Miller at the time. They totally got me hooked on the WordPress marketing team, and I've been active on and off for the past almost 6 years. But also met a few Dutch people who got me first into speaking. So 3 months later, I spoke at my first conference and into organizing. So I was part of the organizing team of a local WordCamp in the Netherlands twice. And all of that first year after a move really helped me boost my career, as I went from freelance gigs to doing the marketing for one agency, then another agency. And then 2 years ago, was hired by Joost as a community manager. I'm still there. So I'm moving back to the Netherlands, and I don't know if I ever find work in online marketing again, to actually being invited to apply for a job. That would have never happened without WordPress. So yay, community. And with that, I'm passing on a microphone to another person.
Yes.
For more, yay, community.
Thank you. All right, who wants to go next? Thank you so much for sharing your story. So here's what we're doing. We're just brief story about WordPress, how you met WordPress, how it changed your life. If you want to sneak in the chat what version you started with WordPress, that'll date you. So raise your Zoom hand or share in the Zoom chat, and we'll call on you.
I got more swag to give away too, so you just let me know when we should spin that wheel again.
Let's spin the wheel so everybody has a moment to
collect themselves. Let me share my screen. This will be for $25 in our swag shop. If you don't see your name on the list, you either already won or I haven't seen you yet. So if you're not on the list, let me know. But I think I got everybody. But here we go. And our next winner is Rachel Baker. I don't know if she's here right now, but we'll reach out to Rachel and let her know that she has won for swag. And we're going to give away more. And everybody that wins swag, we're also going to send, we've got some WordPress 20 pins and some pennants. We're going to make sure those get out to people as well. Okay, who's next?
I'm going to call on Jess Frick because she busted me for texting on my phone while I was on a Zoom call.
Rude. I didn't even raise my hand.
She texted me. She goes, "Who you texted?" I was like, "Well, I'm calling you."
And by the way, he's texting Lindsay because he wants coffee.
No. Yeah, I mean, I do too.
She doesn't. She doesn't fight fair.
Well, it was in the twos. You called on me and I was not ready. So I started using WordPress in 2000. First time I ever used it was 2007. And I was really excited about it because I had never seen anybody do blogs like that. You know, I started building websites where you like literally just wrote the page. And I had, you know, at one point I had my version of a blog where it was just like you put the new thing that you wrote at the top of the page and then it just keeps like scrolling down. And so then it, see, live journal, I remember that too. And I think at the time that I started using it for real, I was balancing between like Dreamweaver and iWeb. Anybody remember iWeb? How fun that was? Thanks, Apple. And I don't know. I got a theme. The premium theme I ever used was Thesis. And then I switched over to StudioPress, who I ended up working for starting in 2010. And so working with Copyblogger, everybody's like, I know. And so working for Genesis was really cool because, you know, that was back when having a framework and like this concept of a child theme was so weird. And so there was like this good bit of education mixed with this exciting blossoming of the platform. WordPress was really like the Wild West back then. It really, really was. If you ever got StudioPress swag or Genesis swag back in the day, that came from my home. I would pay my child to help me bag them. So there you go. Child labor. Lillian, get to work. She's like,
she's been blowing up balloons. She's like, I have been. What are you talking about, Jess?
Like, hold the press. I'm busy.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, and I remember.
iWeb,
Sorry.
When you said iWeb, anybody heard of Claire's homepage?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That was my before WordPress. Why I was like, oh, it can change my copyright and my year on my footer. I had to do that with 100 pages for my site.
And then front page.
Front
Microsoft.
page, yep.
Oh boy, that was brutal.
Well, I remember when I first started using WordPress and I didn't fully grok like what it meant to be on there. I honestly, this is so bad. I thought it was like another Angel Fire. Because it was like this all enclosed thing. But I mean, again, then also, you know, I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. My original host, the first time I ever paid for hosting, it was called Smitten Kitten. And it was some dude with computers in his garage. And like my website would go down and I would call him and be like, Chuck, my website's down. And he'd go out and restart the computer. Like it was wild, man. So I've been working in WordPress full time since 2010. And honestly, you'd think I'd have learned by now, but I just freaking love this community. I have loved watching it evolve. I remember back in the day, like iThemes was an absolute pillar in the community. Watching how that whole situation evolved and getting to work alongside you guys with Liquid Web was really cool. That's the one thing about this cool community is, you know, we don't live in boxes. Everything's spaghetti. It all runs together. And like, there is no, 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. We're all like literally 2 degrees here. And that's awesome too.
So you could say it's like 2 degrees of Matt Mullenweg.
It is. It is.
Well, if you're on post status, you're 1 degree from Matt. So that's
true. Hashtag needs more
true.
plaid. And that's how Jessica got fired.
Although he might not answer his phone right away. If we call.
Yeah, for those who
some
don't
maybe.
know, I'm employed by Pressable today, and Pressable is an automatic company, so good times. But you know what? They're nice plaid. We got to give it to him. He's a well-dressed man. Anyway, thanks for calling on me. I had no prep, but I just, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to celebrate. 20 years is huge. I can't wait to see what the next 5 and 10 contain.
Seriously, yeah, for sure.
Thanks, Jess. Thanks for letting me put you on the spot.
Yeah, thanks for letting me put you on the spot.
Speaking
now that story about Corey, that one time at Cloud. Okay, we'll save that for another day.
We'll be seeing Jess, Lindsay, and I at CloudFest next week in Austin. So,
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you, Robert, too.
I got 2 sessions. What are you talking about? I'll be talking with Amber Hines about accessibility, and then with Robbie Adair about WordPress from WP admin to actually doing something with your WordPress site.
That's awesome. By the way, there's a channel and post status if you're going to be at CloudFest Austin next week. Be sure and join so we can all hook up and say hi to each other and give hugs, etc. Hey, speaking of Matt Mullenweg, I reached out to invite him to be a part of this. One, to say thank you for his contribution. I mean, without him and Mike Little and then B2 before it, we wouldn't be having this conversation. He's on a plane, probably heading toward, I would guess, Athens or somewhere in between. So he wasn't able to make it. We're going to do another interview with him as soon as we can get on his schedule, to just to say thank you too, but also to reflect on 20 years, what he was thinking back 20 years ago, what he's thinking today and then the future. And I've known Matt for a long time, had the honor to have some conversations with him over the years, always respected his heart for the work. When you ask him about what's on his mind, he thinks so big about this. It's not just software to him. It's about the entire planet, democratizing publishing. So I'm very thankful for his leadership within the community, and of course, Josefa and all of the people that contribute to WordPress. Okay, so I want to thank you for mentioning Max. I want to make sure and tell everybody he just was in transit, so he wasn't able to be with us today. Okay, so if you just got here, we're sharing our WordPress stories. What version, when you started, what you were doing before it. So raise your Zoom hand or say in Slack that, or not Slack, sorry, Zoom chat, if you want to go and share next, and I'll call on you. And if you text me saying that I see you texting on the Zoom call, you'll probably get called.
Whether you want to or not. Adam Silver says he's ready.
All right, Adam.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Hey, hi, everybody. So I think I have the outline of what I've done here in my life. I'm probably older than a lot of people here in the space in general, not in WordPress necessarily, but in tech. So that said, started the BBSs. I'll paste this also. BBSs starting with 110 baud modem, dial-up, pulse, like an old rotary phone. Went to Gopher, went to Telnet, went to Usenet, went to Lynx was my first browser, LYNX. It's all text-based with an underline. That's why they called them hyperlinks, but Lynx. I was one of the first people to use it. I was in college to use Mosaic back before it became Netscape. And then as far as tools go, I hard-coded HTML, slices, and Photoshop. That's how we built pages. It was all hard-coded, flattened pages. Adobe PageMill, I used that. I'm not sure what I used before, but after NetObjects Fusion, which was like a drag and drop, which was amazing at the time, but really slow. Dreamweaver, of course. I think before Dreamweaver, I used FileMaker Pro with Lasso. So we could take a database of content with Lasso and have it present HTML in the front end. Blogger, when I was doing photography work, Blogger. And then Joomla for a solid 4 weeks. And then WordPress. I know Robert's gonna be happy with the Joomla. Data Joomla for 4 weeks. And then WordPress version 2.9, 2.8, 2.9. I'm looking at the history of the codex. And yeah, I've been doing WordPress stuff for 14 years now. The podcast just went over 9 years, 2 months every week for the past 9 years, 2 months. I missed my 9-year anniversary. Totally forgot about it. So that's where I'm at. Yeah. Crazy. And I have a lot of swag. I mean, I just pulled a hat, actually swag hat, swag mug at the moment. There's my for the day. So it's this is the old Sandhills development site company mug. So yeah, I'm actually starting a new project probably middle June or July. I'm finishing a project called the kitchen sink, the KSWP photo. I've been taking photos for years, share them on Twitter. That ends on June 1st, and that'll become an open source project. New project will be, you'll see it's going to be on Tumblr because it makes sense to put it there. So that comes out next month and a half. So that's my story.
Cool. Rob, you've got your hand up. We're going to switch over to you.
I do, and my good friend Adam hit a chord when he talked about BBSs, because interesting enough, I'm watching a documentary on YouTube called BBS, which talks about, it's a 6-part series which talks about the history of BBSs and where that falls in the culture. And so I started in tech I'm also older, so I'll go there. I think Mr. Jacoby can probably join us, but I'll pick on him because I can. And I've been in tech since I've been like 13. So I kind of started on an Apple II, and I still have an original VisiCalc box and software kicking around in the corner somewhere. So I've been at it that long. I was an old style COBOL programmer. That's what I was trying to do coming out of college in the 80s. I spent time in insurance systems. I got into technology from that perspective. I moved into support. I spent 22 years in healthcare. And somewhere in the midst of the end of that journey, I discovered this blogging platform called WordPress. And the reason I did was I originally never planned to get into a web design role. And I finally created a web site for friends and family to give them resources because I got fed up with the 1,000,001 phone calls I was getting at 2 a.m. saying, help me, Rob. So I created that. I morphed over to WordPress and liked it so much I was doing that professionally. So I was probably in 2.x. And I think I crossed paths with Corey probably back when he was running iThemes like many, many, many years ago. And I'm still an iThemes user to this day. So I've been kind of there. And I've been all over the spectrum. And now I run a full stack marketing agency. And the bulk of what I do in WordPress is actually WordPress security. So it's just kind of been an interesting journey. And thanks for sharing. And Adam, thanks for sharing. And thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Rob.
I love the chat because you all are geeking out on what speed modem you had. And I'm like, God, I don't know. I just went Diener.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
So funny.
You all, this is nostalgic too. I didn't think about this being nostalgic about like us going back to bulletin boards and different things.
Oh yeah, we're going like 30 years nostalgic, 35, 40 years.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say, I mean, I'm 52 years old. I started doing computer work when I started using computers in an Apple II Plus, and then a 2E enhanced with 64 kilobytes of RAM. So, I mean, that's where I'm at. I'm an Apple guy since day one.
I still have my first, was 12, what did it go, 12? Yeah, 1200 baud US robotics modem.
Nice, yeah.
And my Apple IIc with 128 bytes of RAM.
Nice.
And a built-in floppy, built-in 5.25 inch floppy.
Yeah. On this, so yeah, I know, I'm with you. I mean, I was going through my garage recently, and just side note, I have about $3,000 to $5,000 worth of old Apple swag of collectibles. I'm about to start selling posters and stuff. I used to be a trainer for Apple. That's how before I got here. But so I've collected all the stuff. 2GS.
So the big question is, for the 20th anniversary of WordPress, can we get WordPress to run on these old Apple IIs?
Who's going to take the challenge?
That's the challenge.
I have a Duo 230 in the garage that boots.
No,
up. I wonder if I can get it on that.
You gotta go. No, that's cheating. Go further back.
Apple II. I have a TRS-80 also in the garage.
Coco or like one of the trash model ones, trash can ones.
It's just the keyboard computer. It's a TRS-80.
It's a Coco. That's the color
Color 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
back to WordPress. Sorry, hijacking this into
moving on. Sorry, not WordPress related. Sorry, everybody. Sorry.
I'm gonna call time on this conversation.
Yeah. Awesome.
I think most people know my WordPress origin story. I've put it out a million places and whatever, but I want to tell you how I got started with Post Status because, I started working at Give WP in 2018. In 2019, I started a podcast, and I paid for a membership to Post Status. I was like every week poring over the newsletter to learn as much as I could about what was happening in the WordPress community. And when I went live with the podcast and Pete Coffee Talk, I showed up for the first time ever. Like I got named in the podcast list of things to listen to this week. And I felt like I had arrived in the WordPress community because Post Status, I was in the newsletter. Fast forward a few years and I'm actually part of the team, and it feels a little like a fairy tale. If I like my glass slippers arrived in a pair and nobody had to find the other one, and here I am sitting in Oklahoma with the Millers and with Kristen, and it's I said, life is hard, but it can also be charmed, and those two things can exist at the same time. And it's I'm having one of those weeks where I'm like, pinch me, because I'm not sure if it's real, but I'm super excited to be here. Pretty cool stuff.
Thanks, Michelle. I think Charmed and WordPress go together.
I think
you
so,
know?
yeah.
And
I agree with that.
we're obviously super proud to represent you all, to promote you all, share what you're doing in the world for the world. So, okay, I had to coerce my wife, Lindsay Miller, who's our CEO, to come sit down with Kristen. Can I ask you two awesome ladies to share your stories?
Oh, yeah. You go first.
Okay. I think mine's different than a lot of other people's. My WordPress story, it starts with I met a boy.
Do we know him?
I met a boy who was he was really into WordPress. And so I wanted to impress him. So I started a blog and the rest is history. I married the boy and I got into WordPress. But yeah,
that charm. I'm still looking for Mr.
right.
So someone has a shorter WordPress story than I do. It's Lindsay.
Right. But I think what was fun about that is like I was in a very, very different space. So I think I know like so many of you that I'm looking on at the screen. But I was in politics, which is like in so many ways like very analog, but like 15 years ago was very like still, and it still is like very handshake and note cards and mailing and all of that sort of thing, right? And so Corey was like, you should really talk about this online, like on a blog. And I'm like, why would anybody care about this online? And it ended up actually being a really great venue to talk about my expertise in political fundraising. So we had calltimeblog.com. And it was, it took me, and actually Click Publish came from that because we got to Christmas that year and he's like, how's it going? I'm like, oh, I'm blogging all the time. He's like, but I don't see any of them on the website. And I was like, oh yeah, I haven't published any. And I was like, but look, I have 18 blogs I've written, but I hadn't published any. And so that's where Click Publish came from, because he was like, you just got to put it out there. And so that was fun. And then it ended up creating a course a couple of years later called Political Head Start, and sold courses to people like in other countries that were buying it and all this kind of stuff. So WordPress has just been a thing that I was able to learn organically and apply to the career that I already had. And now I've turned it into something entirely differently, not only career-wise, but friendships and relationships. And it means the world to me and my family. And I love y'all. I love WordPress. All right, so there it is. Yeah.
And you use WordPress with your content marketing agency?
Yes, Corey. I use WordPress and my content marketing agency. Is the ad gonna come across the bottom of the screen? Contentjourney.com.
We should have planned better to make that happen.
Right. Oh, let's pause for a commercial break. Just kidding. Okay, Kristen. Well, yeah, your turn.
Oh gosh. Well, I'm Kristen Wright. So nice to see you all and meet you all. A few times I've seen faces actually for some of you. I know the names. Well, my journey begins with the Millers as well. So WordPress can actually also be kind of a local thing. And because of the Millers and Corey's presence in WordPress, I ended up working at iThemes. I came from a nonprofit event planning background, but iThemes needed an office manager. So I started at iThemes kind of managing the office and making sure everybody had what they needed, but kind of quickly transitioned into marketing and found that I actually really liked marketing and the challenge of that and writing, content marketing especially. And so over the course of the years, just continued on with iThemes, and it changed my life for sure, because now I've transitioned to Automatic and I'm doing marketing at the Day One app, which is incredible and really wonderful product. If you don't use Day One, here's my promo, check out Day One. And yeah, it's just amazing what WordPress has meant to my life. It's changed the trajectory of my life, and also cool how WordPress sometimes kind of spans your passions, right? Because journaling was my passion on the side. We keep losing our background.
We're a high quality agency over here, folks.
High quality party.
But we are not the party planning people.
Yes. But yeah, WordPress is wonderful. So many great relationships, and continues to change my work. So. I should have said, oh, our hero image just fell. That's awesome. Well, they fixed the backdrop. I'm gonna share my screen. We're gonna do another giveaway. We're giving away swag. I will say, Rachel Baker, I just saw you join. You're not on the list because you already won. So I'll be reaching out to you in a little bit. Everybody so far that's won is $25 swag in our gift shop, a gift star swag. And our next person is Hendrik. So I'm not sure Hendrik's in the chat right now. We'll reach out to Hendrik and let him know that he has won. Fantastic. All right. Who else wants to share? I'm gonna start calling on people if people aren't volunteering. I'm kidding. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
I saw Mike Demo jump in. Hi, Demo. We get to see you next week too.
Yep, we're gonna play Catan after I taught it to you. Apparently, you think you're better than me, so we'll see.
I've been practicing.
Lindsay and I did a Catan escape room in Frankfurt, Germany. First it was a drag show, and then we went to the Catan escape room. So
we know how to have a good time.
She was actually just telling me about that last night.
We did, and we escaped.
We did with Joseph from Codable, my colleague at Codable at the time. He was also with us. So
Great.
Yeah, so my open source story, I've always been involved in web development, using different open source CMSs. First one with PHP Nuke, then OS Commerce, then CRE Loaded. Anyone remembers those wonderful e-commerce platforms? Won multiple international awards in college and high school and all that. Then after that, I went to Mambo for a good month. Then the split happened, went to Joomla. And then at the Joomla World Conference, met Matt Mullenweg when he was a speaker in Boston. I've always used WordPress mostly as a blogging platform. And then I really got kind of involved in it mostly when Todd from InMotion Hosting, who I knew from the Joomla community, was looking for an evangelist for this new page builder called BoldGrid, which you might know me from, or the Tide Pens at least. And we talked about that, and I joined. We met actually at HostingCon in New Orleans. I was working the Joomla booth, so I was also speaking at HostingCon there, which HostingCon, rest in peace. It was a competitor to World Hosting Days at the time, which is now CloudFest. And then then started going to WordCamps. Before they would hire me, they sent me to WordCamp Salt Lake City to make sure I wouldn't burst into flames. Entered and was involved in both for a while. I was on the board of Joomla, worked at InMotion Hosting for 5 years, ended up in their mergers and acquisitions, helped lots of M&A deals happen over there. You can see them all on the tracker. On post status, and then I was kind of headhunted and asked to apply to Codable by a few people for being a community lead. The expert team did that. Then we found Megan, and she better than I was. So and we need someone at partners. So I'm the partnership man. I head of partners over here. So it's kind of what I think.
That's awesome. I love hearing a good demo story. You've been around for a long time and done a whole lot of stuff too, my friend. I've seen some more people hop in too. Michelle, you've probably kept track of like who's spoken and who hasn't.
I mean,
better than I have.
I have a little bit of it in my head. Should I just start picking on people, or
or did y'all have more things that you wanted to talk about besides stories? Or I don't know what the plan was for today.
It's pretty much just having a party.
Hanging out and giving away swag.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I'm gonna call on Mark Westgard because I know I can. Hey Mark, how did you get started in WordPress?
Oh my goodness. Well, I used to have an agency, and I've had an agency for like 26, 27 years now, building websites. And my agency in New Orleans, after I moved to the US, married a New Orleans girl and started a business there. And my team there actually introduced me to WordPress. One of my employees went off to a WordCamp. I forget where it was, but they came back with bags full of swag and stories to tell and got me into WordPress. And that was about, I want to say about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. So I was quite late to the game, really. And I guess being late to the game was good for us because by that time WordPress had matured to a point that we could use it for commercial websites, which is what we were producing for kind of small to medium-sized businesses. So we went from building sites that were literally custom from ground up to then using WordPress as our platform so that people can content manage them. And then after a few years, so I had a side business where I was actually selling wedding websites and wedding planning systems. And I was white labeling that to people within the wedding industry. And my first client was Condé Nast. So I got a really good deal with them and we ran it for several years. I had a lot of other bridal magazine companies using that. And then as that wound down, I wanted to get back into the licensing game. Wanted to build a plugin for WordPress, asked my team what to build. They suggested we build a form plugin and off we went. So that's where we are now. So I'm trying to do, I have over the past few years been reducing the amount of agency work I do and being much more present in the WordPress community, and I'm working on WS Form and pleased to say that that's been going really, really well. So that's kind of my story with WordPress. And I've absolutely loved it. I've loved the transition from dealing with clients on building websites. We all have our horror stories around that, to working with a really close community, and I absolutely love it. Looking forward to going to WordCamp EU in a couple of weeks.
Me too.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. Can't wait to see you all.
Sure.
So if you just joined us, we're just sharing our WordPress stories, how WordPress changed our lives, what you're doing before WordPress, version number, any of that you want to share, raise your Zoom hand or unmute and say me next.
Or Michelle will just randomly call on you, which is oh so fun, right, Mark? Hey, bud, I saw your hand go up.
Kalimata. Did I get that right? It's Kalimata. You know what that means? I'm working on it. It's good morning in Greeks.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. So how's everybody doing? You know, there's a lot of people here. So I'll be very brief. I won't ramble on here. And I can't stay very long, unfortunately, but hope to see a lot of you guys in WordCamp in WordCamp Europe, which I'm so excited for. I mean, I can't believe it's almost here. And my story is very simple, very quick. I was teaching HTML and CSS and doing web development of a sort, I guess, for small sites back in 2009. And I sat with a client at the Oyster Bar in New York City. And he said, you know, Bud, you really should learn WordPress. And I said, oh, I'm a Rage Against the Machine kind of guy. I don't know. WordPress is definitely not what I want to do. And he goes, and then he looked at me very serious and he goes, no, listen to me. And he gave me a very serious look. And he said, you've got to learn. Here, log into my site, look at these plugins. I don't know. Somebody set this up for me. I don't know what the heck's going on. And of course, one thing led to the next, to the next. And I guess about a year or two later, I realized, oh, child themes. You mean I could do anything I want with this? And once I realized that, the sky was the limit, I said, wow. And so I really spent a lot of time, first and foremost, teaching. So I taught in just about every classroom in New York City for higher education, and then online and developing sites. And then I got into the WordPress community, sort of like I didn't even know there was such a thing as the WordPress community. That all kind of like I don't know. I spoke at WordCamp New York. I think it was 2016 or 17. And that was at the UN, the first, last, and only WordCamp that will ever be at the UN, because it's a terrible place to have a WordCamp. But one thing led to the next, I go to meetups, and wow. I mean, I just and the more I got involved, is the more spectacular I realized, and special everybody is in the WordPress community, and how cool it is. People say like, well, how much does it cost? When I tell them, how much does it cost, or how do I enter? I said, no, you don't get it. You don't have to do anything. Just show up. And so that's really, one of the nice things. And so right now, my site, I just redid it, joyofwp.com, and it's all free. I just went to a whole free mode because there were paid aspects before, and I decided I don't want to do that anymore. I want to give away everything for free. And so free videos. Oh, news feeds. I love this. So what I want to do is, my site's developing into, I want to be sort of like, forgive the expression, the Matt Drudge of WordPress. Not really, but to have news content always flowing through my site, new stuff. And I just discovered how great RSS is, and my videos and things like that. And so last thing is, I really have focused now on creating WordPress content for others. And it's a form of teaching. So I get hired by other companies to either write a blog post or create videos or create a course, or that's all I want to do from now on. So if you know of anybody, no, I'm not, no. But really creating WordPress content, I think there's a big market for that, especially anything to do with education. Like, that's my jam, as they say. So that's it. I'll listen to what other people have to say. But hey, if I don't see you at WordCamp Europe, remember, I'm visually impaired. So just come up to me and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, okay? Because I may not recognize you, and it's okay to say your name. I don't get, it's perfectly fine. And that's it. Michelle, the floor is yours.
I will see you there. Before we go to the
Yeah.
next question, I'm going to give away more of Corey's money and do give away some more swag. So it's what we're here for.
Oh, good. Swag. Yeah.
Swag,
All
yeah.
right,
So
I'll
let's
turn it
see who's going to be the next winner. Estella. Oh, Corey. I'm giving it to both of you. Both of you are getting swag because I spoke too soon. So
It's a good thing it said it, because I was like,
It's
no,
okay.
that's me, and I will fight Estella.
I'm gonna give away to both of you. So I'll contact you both later with $25 in our swag store. So
You can bring it to me, can you not, Michelle? You're coming. You can bring it to Athens.
Oh, it's a swag store, so you get to pick what you want.
Oh, okay. All right,
Yeah.
cool then. Okay.
So we'll figure it out. Otherwise, if we can't get international shipping, I will bring you something fun, Estella. I promise. We'll get you
Okay.
something together.
Now I'll order it to your house.
There you go. That'll work.
Okay. All right.
All right. Who's next?
Thank you, Corey.
I was gonna say,
And Michelle, really, but
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Corey, can I just bring yours to Baltimore?
to DC, you mean?
Yeah, I mean DC, yeah.
Absolutely.
Sweet. Let's see, who hasn't talked yet or who wants to talk? And we're not gonna I only make people speak if I know it's safe to call on them. So if somebody's sitting there quaking in their shoes, you're safe, I promise. I just know who I can pick on. I'm gonna pick on my office mate, Jeff Betancourt. So Jeff, if you're listening, unmute yourself and tell us how you got started in WordPress. He's not listening. He's ignoring me.
It's just ignoring you.
He is ignoring me. Jeff and I share an office back in New York.
Michelle, I'm gonna have to go in a second. Can I plug the Pride Party real quick?
Yes, please do.
Awesome. It's now on the WordCamp Europe side event page, but we restarted the WordCamp Pride Party last year in Porto. Was awesome. Sold out. Mullenweg came. We did it again in WordCamp US. WordCamp Asia, we had about 250 people, and we partnered with Bluehost and Yoast for that. And then we are also co-sponsoring it again with Bluehost, our friends at Bluehost, Yith, and Yoast as well. And it's going to be at the Moxie Hotel on Friday night, and you can register via the link on the WordCamp Europe officially unofficial side events, I suppose, page. And it's a rooftop, so there'll be outdoor area for COVID. areas. There'll be food, there'll be drinks, and we want to celebrate all the LGBTQIA plus members of our community and allies. So hope you can make it. And there'll be a DJ and then a special show, which we're not saying what it is, but yeah,
I am already RSVP'd, so I will see you there.
Great.
Did you see our rainbow, Mike?
No, I was looking at my camera and I have you off on the side monitor.
Oh, well, we have a rainbow over here and a rainbow pinata.
Oh, yeah, I see that.
It's the
Awesome.
one thing that hasn't fallen yet. All the rest of our stuff is slowly coming down. I know.
Peacha, are you there?
She's getting ready for a client meeting.
Oh,
she
well,
said.
let her go then.
She's kind of looking.
What about, who hasn't talked yet?
Hi, I'm just gonna say hi. Sorry.
That's okay.
I didn't want to miss out entirely, but I'm only pretending I'm here. So
It's okay.
I'll just say my very first, I had a one sketch a day blog in 2009 before Instagram. So that's how I started. That's it. That's my origin story.
I love it. I'll see you in Europe.
Bye.
Okay. Who haven't we heard from yet? Rachel Baker, can I call on you? Since you won,
Sure.
Since you won swag, you kind of have to earn it. I'm kidding.
No, fair enough. Yeah. Hi. So for those that don't know me, my name's Rachel. I am a core contributor to WordPress, but kind of how I ended up getting there was actually funny enough. I actually won a ticket to the first WordCamp Chicago way back in the day. This is where like WordPress was in like 2.8 or something like that. And so I was using other CMSs similar to Mike, and I don't know, consider WordPress to be mainly like a blogging platform. But went to WordCamp and saw, Matt talk about kind of the upcoming post meta, and actually like Carl Hancock was working on like an early version of Gravity Forms, so got on his laptop and got to check that out and met a bunch of people who have become my lifelong friends. But that kind of moved me into that area and started using WordPress more. I contributed to, and for WordPress like 3.1, we were going to do a post formats feature, kind of like more like Tumblr, and bring that to WordPress. We got all the way to like beta, and then it got nixed, but that was like my first foray into contributing to WordPress. Was a feature that actually never really made it. But from there, kind of spoke at a few WordCamps in Chicago and all around. Started helping on the support forums, went to like the first WordPress community summit, and had what was at the time like the best WordPress like Twitter Bootstrap theme, Bootstrap WP, and a few plugins, but really started getting more involved in WordPress contributing, and was kind of the co-author of the REST API, which ended up also getting into WordPress eventually, which is now behind powering the Gutenberg and the editor. So yeah, that's what it's been interesting. Like, it's been a real arc in my life. I don't really, I still am a contributor and do things here and there and comment on things here and there, but yeah, I don't know. We're working more Rails and the AI machine learning space right now, but still have a special place in my heart for WordPress, and as I said, have gained lifelong friends from the experience.
To me, the best part, right? Like usually I have a lot of people that fill out the form and I get to put in our spotlight at post status. And when people like answer the question, like, what is the best part of WordPress for you? 99% of the people say it's the community. Like the software is great, the plugins are great, the ecosystem's great, but the community is really what makes WordPress what it is. And I mean, y'all know how I feel about that. 100% agreement with that. So it's pretty darn cool for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, I gotta keep calling on people, and I know I can call on Hazel, so I'm gonna call on Hazel next. I go with the people that I'm safe to do that with, Hazel, and I know that you're never gonna say Michelle.
Oh, that was a risk, but I was excited to see you here. Also hoping that you were going to be sitting with these three folks, and I was like, oh, I'll say hi to all those folks that you're sitting with. Hello, hello. Is there like a question I'm answering, or what are we doing? What's this
So
thing?
how did you get started with WordPress? What are you up to?
Oh my God. So my thing with WordPress is I didn't know WordPress was like WordPress with like a capital V and a capital P and who gives a shit for like 7 years after I was using WordPress. Because I was like using it, like building my stuff and like working here and there. And I decided to like look if like one of the plugins I used a lot was hiring. And I went to go work for the events calendar or Modern Tribe at the time, who was running events calendar because they were one of the plugins I used all the time. Then I fell into this world of like, oh my God, you guys, it's WordPress with a capital P. And I'm like, oh, which is why I really loved it though. I love learning that side of it. And I've loved bringing my point of like, there's both sides of like what this whole thing is. And there's like a whole world out there outside of just us. But I think that's what's very interesting about the WordPress community is like, there's this so insular part that like is the megaphone for like such a major part of the internet, which in turn is such a major part of the world. But yeah, so I've been involved in various things. My very first WordPress site was actually come full circle. I'll tell you guys where I am right now. Full circle in my life. I bought a WordPress site right when I left Yelp called Long Beach, which was gonna be like a happy hour site directory in Long Beach. And I started making a couple of sites for like local art galleries and stuff. And I never did the website because I don't know, just didn't, as we all know, with our collections of domain names. 13, 12, how many years later is this? 12, 11 years later, I am now part owner in like the most popular Long Beach site that we're re-putting on WordPress this week because they're on like some weird CMS. So like all our old stuff that I built, we're redoing it. So it's all full circle. It's all the things, and it's connected me to make my community locally and with WordPress. So
I love it. Thank you for letting me call on you. Corey just put a new question in the chat too. I'd love to hear some of your WordCamp experiences too. Hi, Ari. I see you just joined us. Nice to have you here with us. Who else can we call on? Who wants to talk either about WordCamp experience that really made a difference for you, or how you got started in WordPress?
I can do that. I can do that.
Estella. Let's hear from you, Estella. I love it.
Yeah. Let's see. I've been using WordPress since 2010, I believe. But I was never able to attend a WordCamp or anything at all. I was living in the Washington, D.C. area at the time, and I had a small child, and all the WordCamps nearby were in Baltimore. And for me to leave my son alone on a Saturday all day long was like, yeah, mission impossible. So I was never able to attend a WordCamp. Then in 2017, I moved to Europe. I moved back to Europe, and I attended my first WordCamp in Utrecht, and I fell in love with the community. That's it. It was love at first sight. I had the same problem, going to the contributor day. I had the same problem everybody has. I walk in and I look like a deer, when you flash the lights to it. I was just looking around and like, what the hell's going on in here? I will ask everybody, so what do you do here? And what do you do here? I look very, like a 3-year-old asking mom about, and the uncles and the aunts at every, at a family party, just asking everything. But I learned how to get involved with the community, and ever since, I just love it. Right now I am team lead for the, I am lead for the community team organizer for the, that was all wrong. Organizer lead, no, lead for the community team, part of the organizer team also for WordCamp Europe this year. So yeah, I've been posting a lot lately. If you see all my posts at Twitter and stuff, there are a lot of fun things we're planning for WordCamp Europe. If you are attending, you're gonna have fun.
And Estella has done some incredible work for disability access at WordCamp Europe. We've been in constant communication, and she's made sure that everything that's happening, I have access to, and other wheelchair users. So thank you for your tireless work on making sure that WordCamp Europe is accessible. I really appreciate that. Leo posted in the chat that he wants to share a story from WordCamp.
The experience that really changed for me actually started from Corey Miller and WordCamp TV. When he shared his talk on mental health in the tech space, especially in WordPress, which inspired me to give my first talk here in 2016 in Cape Town, which was mental health, the WordPress community, and you, and covered how, as a community, we talk a lot about the code, the connections, the relationships, but never really have like a taboo experience talking about mental health, and how people like Corey Miller and myself and others want to change that. And that actually had a hashtag called WP Hugs in my presentation, which went viral on Twitter during my talk in my city. And yeah, and that led me to joining WP Hugs to Big Orange Heart. And that experience has pretty much changed my life since that happened. So yeah, thanks, Corey. Thanks, everyone.
The first time I ever heard Corey talk was, and the first time I ever knew who he was at WordCamp Ottawa. I don't remember what year that was. That might have been like 2017. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
16 maybe. Yeah, it was quite a while ago. And he put that picture up in his talk of the iceberg. And I was just like, wow, people are talking about mental health in WordPress. And it just legitimized for me the things that I struggle with depression and anxiety. And I was like, oh, I gotta get to know this guy. And he was so busy, I never actually got to talk to him that weekend. And now I get to call him on the phone, so it's all good. But yeah, I agree. Corey absolutely made a difference for me too through WordCamp. So thanks for all that you do. Very cool. Who else? I've been trying to watch. I will say I'm gonna call on Ruth. Ruth, do you mind talking? I'm gonna say Ruth Kalinka. So Ruth, I really got to know when the pandemic had started, and Ruth was volunteering to like moderate a whole bunch of talks and things like that at WordCamps online. And so Ruth, I want to thank you for the work that you've done. Is she still in the chat? Or did we lose her? Oh, maybe I was too late. Oh, there you are. There you are. There's so many pictures
I'm
on
on
the screen.
mobile.
Oh, that's fine. Do you want to tell us any of your WordCamp experiences or how you got started in WordPress?
Sure. My first WordCamp that I attended was San Francisco 2008. And prior to that, I started getting involved in learning WordPress, I think in late 2006, something like that. Maybe it was 2007. And one of the reasons that I chose the platform, having been a designer who hand coded everything for years with, like in the days before we even had color coding in our editors, I was looking for a way to be able to build more without necessarily having a team. And there were a number of platforms that were very active at the time. And I chose WordPress because of the community, and it was absolutely true. I'm still involved in the community, still volunteering and organizing and going to Europe for conferences.
Fantastic. Yeah,
So, yeah.
It was great to see you in those chats and to get to know you a little bit. So I appreciate the work that you've done for sure too. We got Corey's going to be inviting some people. I think he's been having some private chats, people who want to. They've been messaging him, not me. And I'm like, all right, well, I can't do anything. But while you're working on that, I'm going to share my screen and we are going to give away another $25 to our gift, our swag store. So I'm not even going to say the name until I know it pops up on the screen because I'm not on that one. So let's see who's going to win something. Paul Schreiber, you are our next winner. So we'll be reaching out to you for that. All right, Corey, who are we calling on next?
Kristen has to leave us, so thanks for coming by, Kristen.
It was good to meet you in person.
Yeah, we had our in-person automatic representative here today. Take a flag. Take my flag. You want to take a button?
Yes, I'll take a button.
All right.
Get one of these ones too.
Yeah.
Slide in. Okay, Corey, I was trying to follow your lead, but
Oh yeah. I think Ari mentioned he'll say hi.
so
Hi, everybody. So fun to be part of this party. I'm in San Francisco, so it's extra early over here, but I got to get in the party mood. I built my first WordPress website in April 2009. I had built my first website in 1996 and started building websites in HTML, and I had been working with Drupal, and that was challenging. And in April 2009, I worked on a friend's website with WordPress, thinking, am I really going to try another one of these fancy new CMS tools? And it was great, and I never looked back. And I since then, basically, I transitioned pretty quickly to only working with WordPress, and since then, I've been using WordPress every day and building websites for small businesses, startups, professional services, and some cool nonprofits, a lot of arts nonprofits. I have a small team, 5 designer developers who work with me, all remotely, some in the US and some abroad. And I went to WordCamp when it was here in San Francisco. I kind of forget the years, but I went a number of years. It must have maybe been, I don't know, 2014 or something, and then for a few years, and I loved it, but I haven't been able to go traveling to go to all the other fun WordCamps. Is it going to come back to San Francisco sometime?
I don't
Anybody know?
I bet you it will.
I mean, that used to be like the WordCamp US, really.
Right.
you got to get a group of organizers together and pitch
Yeah.
it so that it'll happen.
And right now we're building an app in WordPress, and it's moving along slowly, but we're excited about it, and we're actually looking for another WordPress expert, PHP expert, to help us push through this final few months of development. So if anyone's interested in more details, you can contact me.
Well, I'm gonna call on Syed. I've never met you before in person, but I look forward to it. If you're in Europe, I will see you there. But Syed, would you like to share your story? I see you'd say you'd be happy to. So
The Syed.
Hello. That's I just had party FOMO. I saw Corey said there was a party happening, and I was like, I gotta join in. We'll keep it short. I started using WordPress in 2006 because in the SEO world, the dynamic content was a thing, and all websites were static and blogs were dynamic, and that led me to WordPress. And of course, it has a pretty massive impact on my life. And I launched WP Beginner in 2009. I'll share a fun WordCamp story. So I was 18, 19 years old, and I reached out to Corey and I said, hey, do you sponsor people to go to events with iThemes? And he totally sponsored me to go to an event wearing an iThemes shirt. And it was really awesome, and a fun memory, for WordPress. A lot of my good friends came from WordPress. Several of them have become business partners, and this has been an amazing community. So super grateful to be part of it.
excellent.
Oh man. And here's the bookend to that story. He got to sponsor me in 2018 to go to Porto, WordCamp, Portugal. So
And he wore a WP Beginner shirt on stage whenever he spoke. Yeah.
we got to bookend
Although,
that.
because they needed extra sponsors for WordCamp Porto. So WP Beginner, sponsored the WordCamp.
Syed, I thought Beginner started before 2009, but it was 2009 when you started that?
Yeah, it was 2009, July 4th. Independence Day, just sitting there. You
Aw.
know, we launched it, and I think it's going to be 14 years old this year, so that should be quite good.
Well, invite
But
me to the party, please.
maybe on the 20th birthday we'll have a party like this.
Let's do it. So Syed's one of the most incredible success stories in WordPress. I've seen him tirelessly work so hard, build such great relationships within the space, and like take WordPress even farther with all of his companies that he's now involved in. A true success story. Like I'm envious. If we weren't friends, I'd be just jealous as hell. But I love to see his success, and got to meet his family and his son Solomon, and over the years spent some really good time together. So thanks for being a part of PostS as well, Syed.
I was gonna say, Sayed's the only business friend we have who will pick up your child so that they can touch the ceiling too. So, Callaway was very, very happy that entire week. And he touched
I
a lot of
remember that.
screens.
I remember that. There's such great memories in Cabo.
Yeah.
You know, love being part of this amazing community, and this is what WordPress is all about, right? The community. And I won't be at Europe, unfortunately, but I will be at WordCamp US, and you know, at WordCamp Asia, and it was an amazing event. What an energy there was, and I'm looking forward to kind of getting back into the WordCamp groove, because the pandemic sort of slowed it down.
Absolutely. I
Thanks
know
for
we were
sharing.
both there and we never crossed paths in Asia. I don't know how that happened, but we'll have to fix that at US this year.
Yes, we will. Thank you.
Of course, thanks for sharing.
Thanks, my friend.
Let's see, who hasn't shared anything yet that would like to still? Is there anybody?
Robert Windish.
Oh, there, Robert. Hi. How did I miss you in the green shirt and your hat?
Yeah, sorry for being late. Internal meetings.
It's not
evening
late. It's
in
a come and
Germany
go.
right
We're
now.
good.
Yeah, so I started in with WordPress in 2005. Everybody thinks I'm way longer in WordPress, but I just arrived at 1.52. I was looking for a blogging system. I was using a enterprise CMS that only Europeans know. So that's why I don't even other idea, because nobody will know it. So I was looking for a blogging system to like avoid sending all people I know the same message, going like, hey, I found this, hey, I found that. So I was like, wait, I turn it around. I simply have one system. I send everybody the link to this. So I started in 2005, and then reached out to the German community asking really dumb questions about WordPress. And they were like, sure, let's help you with this and this. And I was like, oh, they are so kind. Let's see if I can help. So then, and now you see the result. I helped them and did some like developing things for the community then. And so helped build a German community and you see the result. I'm currently get paid to travel the world and speak to people about WordPress. So what else can you ask for? And yeah, I've been to many events and will be to every regional ones as far as I can see. So if you see me in Europe, if you see me in the US, if you see me in Asia, in Taipei next year, simply come forward and speak to me. And happy to be in the WordPress community and help democratizing publishing.
Always good to see you, Robert. I'll see you in Athens very soon.
Robert, I didn't know it was going to be in Taipei. I've been wanting to go to Taiwan forever. 我会说中文一点, and I have a lot of friends from Taiwan.
March next year, you still can.
That's exciting.
Yeah, focus, put your mind to it, like make it visual, and then move forward what you need to do to be there. I know it's really hard, but yeah, Ruth, you can do it.
With Greece, I was like, these flights are ridiculous. The search is not going anywhere. I don't know why I'm spending so many hours continuing to search. And then I'd tell a friend, like, I'm not sure I'm going to make it. Please make plans without me. And then I would, think, oh, well, this might need to go in my travel kit. And like, I just sort of like a little bit acting as if every day that I was going to make it, even though it was completely insane. And then I had a breakthrough.
I'm so glad you're gonna be there. I get to meet you in person. I don't think we've met in person before, so I look forward to that.
It's now hard to remember who I don't know in person because I've
I
seen you
know.
guys online so much.
I know, I'm the same way. And I've actually said to people, oh, it's so nice to meet you. And they're like, I sat next to you at lunch last year at WordCamp, whatever. And I'm like, so now I just say, it's so good to see you. And just stop it.
That's a good plan.
But you know what? I think it's a common thing. If anybody gets upset about it, like, I think in general, we all know that you've seen the avatar so many times, you've seen a person on the Zoom and it blurs. You're like, oh, we're best friends, but oh, we haven't even met each other.
Exactly. I just blame it on pandemic brain.
I kind of feel like that every single time I see Dave. Like, we may see each other in person like once a year or once every other year, but I'm like, hi, best friend. How's your mom? Like,
it's like no time has passed. Yeah.
I know, it really is. And because it is like you are able to kind of have these little pockets of time together. And then it's like, yeah, it is like no time has passed at all. And
Yeah,
you're like,
for
oh
sure.
yeah, I remember like what your husband does for a living and like all of these things and like all of the stuff. And it's like, okay, yeah, it is just like all falls into place again so quickly.
Yeah, just for everybody who missed it last year in Porto, the first big one after the pandemic, the first day was just like, it was 500 to 800 people hugging. You were walking around there, and it must felt for people very differently who were not used to the WordPress community, but after like 2 years of pandemic, like you had the first half or like first day were like some people like, oh my God, you are here and you have legs, and then they were hugging each other. So it was really like it was 3,000 people at Porto in WordCamp Europe. So just imagine like 800 of them knowing each other and like hugging in every corner of the venue.
Mm-hmm. And so many selfies. I love it.
This will be my first since WordCamp US 2019, so I'm super excited.
Excellent. Fantastic.
There will definitely be hugs.
For sure. Should we do another giveaway?
We should.
All right, let's do another giveaway. Let me share my screen. So y'all know I'm like being honest and whatever with whoever comes up.
You're not just picking and
I'm
choosing.
not just picking and choosing, no. Leo, it's you.
It's you, Leo.
It's you, Leo. So we'll be in touch to get you your.
So good to see you.
Awesome.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. Anybody?
And I'm
not-
actually in the chat, so that's cool.
I think Ahmed, you had said you had a WordCamp story you wanted to share, right?
Hi, everyone. If you can hear me properly, my name is Ahmed, joining from Dhaka, Bangladesh. It's kind of late here, almost 10 p.m. I'm really happy to see so many familiar faces and to be able to share my WordPress journey. I started WordPress back in 2009 for a university project. I went out of the country for my higher studies in Australia. I was studying tech. WordPress was exciting back in those days and pretty easy for me to get started with freelancer work and stuff. And after that, once I graduated with network security major, I had a divorce with WordPress for almost 7 years. And WordPress found me back again in 2017 because of my younger brother who was working for a company called WeDevs. And I got to know about their plugin, Dokkan, and other amazing products. And in 2019, I got a job offer to join WeDevs. And from there, my actual WordPress story as a contributor started. And I met Michelle Freschetti during the lockdown days for the marketing team coffee break. I met Estella, who actually grabbed my hand and showed me around how to become a contributor, a volunteer to the design team without having zero knowledge about design. I'm not a designer, but she taught me pretty much everything. I met O'Neill and organized WordCamp Asia 2023 successfully together. If you've been to WordCamp Asia, you might have seen me emceeing for the contributor day. Also, I spoke for the very first time last week in WordCamp Sylhet. It was amazing for me to actually experience that part because during the pandemic, I've almost volunteered every single online WordCamp, and I was emceeing, EMCing, whichever way. I organized also WordCamp Santa Clarita, WordCamp Northeast Ohio, WordPress Translation Day, WordPress Live 2.0, WordPress Accessibility Day 2020, 2022, and now 2023. I am going to be also organizing WordCamp Dhaka 2019, which is happening in August this year. I'm set to speak at WordCamp Europe, WordCamp Iloilo City, and joining Community Summit. So I feel like the pandemic and after the pandemic, the effect of WordPress has basically changed my life for good. I understand why people matter, why the community matter more than before. I found family within WordPress. I found so many friends. I met Robert in person. I met Michelle in person in WordCamp Asia. Those were humbling experiences, I must admit. And specifically coming from a third world country like Bangladesh, being able to be connected with a global community, I feel that's a privilege for me. And I find myself to be fortunate to be alive, being in such a time. Survived the pandemic. Now WordPress is helping me put food on the table. Thank you so much for giving me a chance to share my story.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. I love it. Let's see. Anybody that we haven't heard from yet that would like to contribute? Anything exciting happening?
And is the last 15 minutes when we break out into dance party?
Yeah, before all of our decorations.
It's now when Lindsay gets to take over, and let's play some pink and and it's dance party time. Just kidding, just kidding.
Your daughter walking in, I came in like a wreck.
Yeah, that's like the Lillian saga.
I love it. Very cool. Well, what's on the roadmap for post status? What are some things you want to talk about, Corey, that we've got planned for the next year and where we're going?
Yeah, it's really fun. I've been in WordPress, I guess, 15 years now, I think. And it's incredible because of all the stories, over the years, whether it was iThemes or different places I was at, hearing people's stories of change. And then when Lindsay and I were able to become partners at Post Status and then now full owners, it's an honor to represent you all and build this community. I am so proud to know so many of you and get to know even more of you in the work you're doing. Like, I know Dave Ryan just got a promotion, big promotion, very well deserved. When I hear all these stories like Mark and Robert, new friends that I've got to meet in the last couple of years, it's so fun. But we weren't fully purposeful in this, but I'm glad our children were here. Lindsay and I's children, they're Lillian and Callaway, they're 8 and 10. And at this point in my career and life, I think about, we want to continue to do good in WordPress and the businesses and the professionals represented at Post Status. But there's another big thing of why we do this, why WordPress is magical. And like Michelle said earlier, it's charmed, is because this freedom we have with this incredible software and even better community of people that work on it every day, that use it, that extend it, it's bigger than all of us. And I as a parent, I reflect quite a bit on my children, because the other day we were watching the show Young Sheldon, and they showed this, there was the modem came on, bing bong, and they're like, what's that? And we go, so much has changed and gotten better in the world, but we still have more to do in this world, right? There's people that don't have access to the internet. We want to preserve the freedom to be able to publish their thoughts, ideas, however crazy sometimes they might be, or great and awesome and world changing. And so I think about this, do good in the world. That's what WordPress is, and do well. Like, let's go continue to do this. And so Post Status, that means for us is like, it's this weird blend between with WordPress. It's an industry and a community. And I love that balance. It's not just an industry that all of us have probably been in outside of WordPress. It's this unique synthesis of community and industry, like being able to do good work, get paid for it, and then know you're helping people with what you're doing. And so for the next foreseeable future, our thing is to just continue to ring the bell to show off the businesses and professionals of WordPress, and promote you. Very honestly, straight up promote you. I love all the stories because I get to brag about you. When I talk to my other people that aren't in our community, I said, yeah, I know the people that built whitehouse.gov, NASA, that host those places, and then my mom's website, or all the way down to someone that just uses a blog like I did to build their career with WordPress. So what we just want to continue to do is rally community. So at WordCamp US, Michelle will be at Europe. WordCamp US will all be there, and just see each other in person. And our team, Lindsay, Michelle, and I are here for you all. We're not a nonprofit, by the way. Sometimes we have to operate like that, but we're here for you all. So if there's something cool you're doing, let us know. We want to share that with each other and to the greater world. And that's just what we do here. And I'm really proud and honored to be a part of this, to hear your stories, and to help us continue to grow the open web. So we'll be sharing a relaunch here in the next couple of months for WordCamp US, our site relaunch, and it's really our next step to focus to do that promotion of you. But we'll be talking more, and so we're just we're thankful and here for you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Grandma says to stop giving away swag. We're gonna go broke.
And thank you, Michelle, Lindsay, and Corey, for everything you do. We appreciate it.
We love it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Let's tell Corey Moss now and give away one more.
Let's do it. He's saying that because he's already got swag. He
I
already wants it.
know. He's like, you've given away enough. I got my stuff.
Right. We have to end the party before all the decorations fall.
Corey's showing his post-haste shirt.
Looked really good at 8:50.
Awesome. Jesse Friedman. We will reach out to Jesse. I know Jesse.
We'll be seeing him next week at CloudFest Austin.
Awesome.
Yay.
Fantastic. Very cool. Yeah, we build better websites than we do decorations.
The balloons are still up.
Mhm.
The helium ones. But yeah, the rest of it not so great. We tried our best.
We did. We did.
Right.
So here's my ask. This whole party is about WordPress at 20, right? The bigger picture is the open web, democratizing publishing. So I see so many of you with your WordPress swag. I think the actual anniversary is the 27th.
Saturday, yeah.
When Matt, and Mike said, should we fork this? Should we do this thing? So, but this whole year, we want to keep the attention on WordPress. So share your swag, share your stories about WordPress on your socials, on your own blog. Share these stories, these incredible stories you shared. Share those out there, because that's multiplication of impact. We want to get the word out about WordPress, not just keep it to ourselves.
Right.
So take some time the next couple of days to say WordPress is 20 and this is how it's changed my life. This is what it's done for me. Not just the software, but the people too. So take a moment and be sure to do that. Hashtag @reply WordPress, link to the WordPress project, all those kind of things, because that's what this whole party is about. So as you're thinking, and then tell your team to do that. Tell everybody that uses WordPress, do the same. We need to make a big splash about WordPress this year. It's so significant. You think about software being 20 years old, like that's insane if you think about tech, right? There's few companies that can claim that. So let's keep the word going about WordPress. Viva la WordPress.
I love it. I agree, 100%.
We were actually talking about this last night at GoDaddy headquarters, where we were having our WP20 party last night. We had about 60 people there here in Phoenix, and we were just sort of talking about, like, the iPhone came out in 2007. Smartphones like that, completely rule our world today. are younger than WordPress. Like, what software are you using from 20 years ago? Like, what technology even? Maybe you're still using light switches and FM radios, but like at the end of the day, like there's very few things that we still use from 20 years ago. So it's pretty cool.
That's true. I'm in a hotel this week and I discovered that I can't just say, Alexa, turn on the lights. Because I'm not a host.
That's so true. I was all over my BlackBerry 20 years ago.
Me too. Me too.
I remember telling you, I'm like, you can take this out of my cold dead hands. I was never going to give that thing up.
No, I know.
And then I only did because it broke and then there were no replacements for it.
No, we're on iPhones.
Right. Anyway.
Funny.
But no, that's great. And that's awesome that 60 people were there too.
Yeah, we wore some holes in our souls and we shared some stories about how we all got started in WordPress, and it was a really great night.
Yeah, I love it.
I was telling Lindsay yesterday of my cry happy tears. There's a lot of cry happy tears WordPress moments for me, but in 2018 I left a bad marriage, and as a disabled person, I was like, how am I going to move? Like, I didn't have the money at that time to hire movers or whatever. And I just posted on Facebook, like, just generally like, hey, I'm moving next Tuesday. If anybody can show up with a car and 2 arms and legs that work, it would be really great to have that, some help. And 19 people showed up to help me that day. My brother, 3 friends from high school from 35 years ago, and 15 people from the local WordPress meetup. And if that doesn't speak as a testimony to the WordPress community and how you can be involved in it and how you give and it gives back, I don't know what does. I'm trying not to cry right now. I talk about it, I'm still crying every time I tell that story. But our community is just, it is more than software. It really is the people who make it up and the friendships that you actually make through it. It's just truly amazing. So pretty cool stuff. Yeah. Oh, exciting.
All right. Well, we can end the party since the decorations are going to fall down. So, but hey, thanks everybody for being here. Seriously, and sharing your story.
So good to see you all.
We'll see you in Slack in the next WordCamp.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.
Thank you guys for
Bye.
doing this. Bye, everyone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Good day.
Thank you. See you at WordCamp Europe.
Yeah.
See you
Bye,
there.
everybody.
See you there. Bye bye.
You there?